What's up? What's up? DeLuca here. Headed to another gig this weekend. Another far drive. But it's all good. It is what it is. And it actually works out good in the end when you do these long distance gigs. The money's better. And you get done early. So it's cool. I don't mind. And I don't mind driving, so it's all good. Got the full PA in the back. Gonna be doing full sound along with the band today. So doing a semi-private event at a winery for about 175, 200 people. So it should be cool. So today, the topic of my video is band members. The different kinds of band members you'll have. That's if you ever want to go join a band. This is for people who don't have much experience being in a band or have never been in a band. So this is what you want to look for in band members. Okay. First of all, you got to decide what kind of band you're going to be. Back in the old days, when people would join a band, they would join a band and they would just basically play with that band. You know, maybe they'd sub if something else popped up, and somebody needed some help and they were available, they jumped in for a gig or two. That still happens. But in the cover band world, especially when you do weddings and private events, there's a lot of mercenary type things going on. Guns for hire type of thing. Which is cool. I mean, if that's how you make your living, there's nothing wrong with that. But it is what it is with that kind of setup too. You're gonna kind of get less than the best product out there. Most clients don't even notice it, but people like me and more savvy clients, and event planners, they'll know, and eventually they'll stop calling your band if every time they call they're going to get a different person. As the lead singer, a different person on, just a different band every time they use the same band. They call this XYZ band, and every time they hire them, there's different people there. That's not cool. Eventually, that's going to catch up and bite you in the butt. So, and what I like doing is having a consistent lineup. To me, still having a consistent lineup where you can depend on the same people being at every gig is the best way to do it if you can. But that involves getting the right people. That's where the issue is. There's so many flakes out there. So many people who want to be in a band but don't want to put the time in. Kind of want to play but then kind of don't want to play. They kind of want to play when they want to play and not necessarily when the gigs are there. If they have something better to do, they'd rather go do that than do the gig, especially if the gig's not a great gig. So you got to have band members that want to do, will do the gig no matter what kind of gig it is, who see the big picture. I mean, you don't want to just do a gig just to play a gig. You want to do a gig that's going to lead to something better, or if it's a private gig where you can making decent money, or you're playing in front of some important people. But getting everybody on board with your vision of the band, especially if you're a band leader. This is for the band leaders right here. If you're a band leader and you're getting players in your band, you got to get people who are going to buy into what you're trying to do. If you're trying to be a band that does private events and weddings, you got to get some things you have to do to get to that level where you can do those private events and weddings. So that might involve playing gigs that are not the greatest things in the world, but it always leads to something better. Doing showcases for wedding clients that don't involve money or very little money. So, but it will turn into something down the road. So everybody will benefit down the road. It just takes a little time. So you got to find people who buy into that vision. Not just the gigs, but the song selection, the image of the band, just being professional, showing up to the gigs on time. There's a lot to going into it. Now, I do side work too when my band's not busy. I'll sub in on a gig. Matter of fact, I got called to do one tomorrow. for a local blues band that I, play with, and their bass player flaked on them this weekend. So called him up. He had gigs last night, tonight, and tomorrow. I couldn't do last night or tonight because I had gigs both nights. But I could do tomorrow, even though I have a gig later in the day. I was able to squeeze his gig in because it came in at a different time that's earlier, so I can work it out. So, but his bass player calls him up or texts him. Actually, didn't even call him. Texted him and said he couldn't make it last night or any gig this weekend. Did that on a Friday before a gig. Now, that's some low down shit right there. Now, that is not cool. And I don't think the guy was sick or anything. At least that's not what was relayed to me. Who knows? Maybe he was sick or something. Let's give him the benefit of the doubt that he's sick. But, basically he bailed on him with 3 gigs coming up on the weekend. So he's scrambling in the last few hours trying to find a bass player for 3 gigs. So I'm going to fill in for him tomorrow. But see, I know his show. I've done gigs with him enough. I've kept my notes. I know his songs. Even though I haven't played with him for a while now, I still basically know the framework of his songs. I can just jump in there and knock them out. It's only a 2-hour gig tomorrow. It's like a festival thing, so it's very low key and very easy. So I can get the whole sideman gun for hire thing, but when you're trying to build a consistent product, you need the same people there. Okay, at least in the Bay Area, where I live, San Francisco Bay Area, the top bands, all the really top bands that really make money have consistent people in their band. And there's a couple bands around here that use guns for hire, and they get gigs, but eventually it's going to catch up with them. Eventually it will catch up with, because there's been bands like that before in the past, and they've all fallen off after a while. And then a new one will pop up, and then they'll last for a couple years, and then they'll fall off too. And then it just repeats itself. But those bands with consistent members, they've been going strong for 20 plus years around here. I'm talking about the top ones. Okay, and same thing with the bands in LA that do cover music stuff too. Very consistent membership, very consistent. Everything they do is very consistent. So if you want to get into the cover band game and do the private things, not just you have to be prepared and be professional on your part. You got to hook up with an outfit, a group that's the same way. And red flags are if you're in a band, cover band, and you never have the same people on the gigs. It's always different. You have a decision to make. Okay, treat this as a gun for hire type gig where you can just make the quick cash, and you have no real investment in the band. You just guitar player, bass player, keyboard player. You're just doing your thing. You're just playing your part. That's cool. Just ride that train as long as you can. But if you're in a band that's trying to build something, or you're the band leader trying to build something, you got to find band members who are going to stick in there with you. Okay? Who are going to stick it out. And sometimes that means not getting the greatest players out there. Those bands I just mentioned with the consistent members, they don't have the best players. Individually, they don't have the best players. But as a unit, they work really good. And they're consistent, they're well rehearsed, they all know each other. They've been around and playing with each other for years, so they know each other. So individual talent is outweighed by the group effort. Because you can get a band full of great players, and if they don't vibe together, or they're inconsistent because they never do the same gigs together, they're always, somebody's available this day, so you always have different people, that band's never going to jive, right? And then they're never going to get good. Individually, like I said, they'll sound great, but in the long run, no. So think about, this is for the beginners again, think about, or even the intermediate folks, when you join a band, figure out what kind of player you want to be. A consistent band member, or you want to be a gun for hire. Gun for hire, another thing too. Gun for hire, you got to know a lot of shit. You got to be prepared to play a lot of different things. Like I said, tomorrow I'm doing a blues gig, but I might have to do another cover band gig. I have one coming up in a couple weeks with another band I work with, and they play some of the same songs my band plays, but then they play some that my band doesn't play, so I have to be ready for those. So you got to have a big, wide song list of stuff that you know. Keep notes. When you learn a song, keep notes. If you can chart it down, write it down, do that. If you can't chart it down, at least record yourself playing that song with that band, so you can always pull it back up when you have to relearn it down the road. So there's ways that you can memorize those songs, especially if you don't do them a lot. Like I said, chart it down or record it, do something. Okay, so big thing about having dependable band members. I mean, so make sure when you're looking for a band that you try to find an outfit that's professional and people sticking around and in it for the long haul. Or just be a gun for hire. Just pop in and pop out. You can do that too. But and I hire them too. When my guys are sick or on vacation, I use them because I know, but I only use a certain small group of people that I know. First of all, I know they can do the stuff, they can do the music, and I know they're going to show up, and I know they're going to knock it out, and then they're going to go. And that's cool. But would I ever hire them as a permanent band member? Nope. Because I know, they're going to go where the highest bid is. So they might book a gig with me, but then somebody else calls them. There's a good chance they're going to call me back and say, hey, man, I got this other offer, man. I'm going to take that gig, but here's this other guy you can call. He can fill in for me with you. So you got to be ready for that, too. That happens a lot. So that's all for this video. Band members. Actually, there's more to band members. More of the internal workings of a band. But I'll leave that for another video. So, like, share, subscribe. Make some comments. Tell me your experiences being in a band or being a sideman / gun for hire. Let a brother know. I am DeLuca, baby. Off to the gig. Later.